Hi guys, August is here, and if you're someone who loves psychological thrillers, the kind of movies that mess with your head and keep you on edge, then you're in for something good. In this video, I've put together 12 of the best psychological thriller movies you should definitely watch in August 2025. These are all streaming on Netflix, Prime Video, Pluto TV, and Tubi, so no matter what platform you use, there's something here for you. Some are well-known favorites, and a few are hidden gems you might have missed, but all of them are worth your time. So let's jump right in and find your next thriller to get lost in. Number 12, The Invisible Witness. Directed by Stefano Mordini, The Invisible Witness is a taut and stylish psychological thriller that unfolds like a game of mental chess, driven by secrets, shifting truths, and the shadowy line between guilt and innocence. The story follows Adriano Doria, a successful businessman who wakes up in a locked hotel room beside the dead body of his lover. Accused of murder, he hires a brilliant defense attorney, Virginia Ferrara, to help prove his innocence. As she interrogates him, timelines unravel and the truth becomes increasingly elusive, pulling us into a layered tale of lies, betrayals, and a missing boy that haunts the past. Ricardo Scamarcio brings a brooding intensity to Adriano, a man constantly weighing control and panic as his story frays at the seams. Maria Piatto, as the sharp and intuitive Ferrara, anchors the film with a calm, calculating presence that makes every conversation feel like a trap. Miriam Leone adds complexity as Laura, the mistress entangled in a web of consequences larger than she imagined. The Invisible Witness thrives on its carefully structured narrative, slowly tightening the noose with each revelation. Number 11, Black Tide. Directed by Eric Zonka, Black Tide is a grim, slow-burning psychological thriller that blends noir atmosphere with a haunting exploration of guilt, obsession, and fractured masculinity. The story follows Francois Visconti, a weary, alcoholic detective assigned to the case of a missing teenage boy. As he digs deeper, suspicion falls on the boy's former tutor, a mild-mannered man who seems a little too eager to help. What begins as a procedural investigation gradually morphs into a tense character study, blurring the lines between protector and predator, truth and deception. Vincent Cassel delivers a raw, unvarnished performance as Visconti, volatile, morally ambiguous, and emotionally hollow. Romain Doris is equally compelling as the enigmatic tutor, bringing a soft-spoken menace that keeps the viewer guessing. Their scenes together pulse with quiet tension, underscored by subtle shifts in power and intent. Dark, moody, and deliberately paced, Black Tide favors psychological complexity over clean resolutions. It's a film more interested in broken people than solved puzzles, unsettling in its ambiguity and quietly disturbing in its emotional truth. Fans of bleak, introspective crime dramas will find it absorbing and quietly haunting. Number 10, The Sun. Directed by Sebastian Schindel, The Sun is a brooding and paranoid psychological thriller that reframes domestic life as a battleground of control, isolation, and creeping dread. The film follows Lorenzo, a middle-aged painter in Buenos Aires, who is thrilled to become a father for the first time. But as his pregnant wife Sigrid grows increasingly secretive and controlling, shutting him out both emotionally and physically, Lorenzo becomes convinced that something sinister is unfolding behind closed doors. What begins as marital tension escalates into a quiet war for access, truth, and the life of their unborn child. Joaquin Furiel delivers a tense and vulnerable performance as a man slowly unraveling under the weight of suspicion and helplessness. Opposite him, Heidi Toyney brings a chilling ambiguity to Sigrid, her calm, clinical demeanor masking an unsettling intensity. The dynamic between them pulses with unease, leaving the audience constantly questioning who's truly in control and what's real. With its confined visuals and chilling atmosphere, The Sun plays out as a slow-burning domestic thriller fueled by paranoia and doubt. It avoids big twists, instead drawing viewers into a quietly unsettling tale of emotional and moral ambiguity. Number 9. The Ones Below. Directed by David Farr, The Ones Below is a chilling, slow-burn psychological thriller that explores motherhood, paranoia, and the creeping horror of domestic life turned toxic. The story centers on Kate, a softly spoken first-time mother-to-be, and her partner Justin, who live a quiet, comfortable life in a London flat. When a new couple, John and Teresa, move into the apartment below, their initially polite friendship quickly becomes unsettling. Teresa is also pregnant, but where Kate is anxious and reserved, Teresa is glamorous, confident, and unnervingly intense. What begins as shared maternal experience soon spirals into a nightmare of suspicion, obsession, and psychological manipulation. Clémence Poésy gives a tense and emotionally layered performance as Kate, capturing the fragility of new motherhood and the paranoia that comes with it. Laura Byrne and David Morrissey are magnetic and menacing as the downstairs couple, playing their roles with eerie calm and quiet menace that keeps the audience guessing. Unfolding in a world of politeness and passive aggression, this is a thriller that trades jump scares for psychological tension. For viewers who prefer their thrillers unsettling, intimate, and morally ambiguous, The Ones Below is a quietly devastating gem. Number 8. The Snowman. Directed by Thomas Alfredson, The Snowman is a bleak and atmospheric crime thriller that weaves icy visuals with psychological unease and a hunt for a killer that's as personal as it is disturbing. The film centers on Harry Hole, a brilliant but damaged detective in Oslo, who becomes obsessed with a series of murders where a snowman is left at each crime scene. As he partners with a determined new recruit, he's pulled into a case that's chillingly close to home, forcing him to confront his own demons, while tracking a killer who thrives in the shadows of winter. Michael Fassbender anchors the film with a weary, haunted performance that reflects Harry's fractured state of mind. Rebecca Ferguson brings sharpness and grit as his colleague, while supporting appearances by Charlotte Gainsbourg and J.K. Simmons hint at deeper threads the film never fully explores. It's a thriller that reaches for emotional and thematic depth, and while it doesn't fully land every narrative thread, it offers an eerie atmosphere and moments of genuine unease. Its grim tone and psychological undertones still make it a worthwhile watch for fans of dark, wintry noir. Number 7. Feverdream. Directed by Claudia Losa, Feverdream is a hypnotic and meditative psychological thriller that blends maternal anxiety with environmental dread and surreal, dreamlike storytelling. The film follows Amanda, a young mother who lies dying in a rural clinic, as she mentally retraces the events that led her there. Guided by the voice of a strange boy named David, her memories unfold in fragments, revealing a tangled web of rural superstition, ecological danger, and a mysterious transformation that threatens the bond between parent and child. What begins as a hazy recollection soon morphs into a quiet descent into paranoia and existential fear. Maria Valverde gives a delicate and haunting performance as Amanda, capturing both the tenderness of motherhood and the slow erosion of certainty. Dolores Fonsi adds mystery and depth as Carola, a neighbor with secrets of her own, while Guillermo Fenning and Emilio Vodanovic round out a quietly intense supporting cast. Atmospherically haunting and thematically layered, Feverdream sidesteps conventional thriller tropes to immerse viewers in a world of eerie stillness and creeping dread. It favors mood over momentum, unfolding like a lyrical hallucination that leaves more questions than answers. Number 6. Brick. Directed by Philip Koch, Brick is a tense and high-concept sci-fi thriller that merges psychological paranoia with existential metaphor and claustrophobic suspense. The film centers on Tim and Olivia, a couple recovering from a personal tragedy, who wake up one morning to find their entire apartment complex mysteriously sealed off by a massive black brick wall. Cut off from the outside world with no communication, water, or escape, they and their fellow tenants must navigate a growing sense of panic, suspicion, and emotional unraveling as they search for answers in an increasingly surreal trap. Matthias Schweighofer brings emotional weight to Tim's unraveling psyche, while Rubio Fee delivers a grounded, quietly intense performance as Olivia. Together, they lead an ensemble cast that captures the paranoia, mistrust, and fragility of people pushed to their limits within a confined, ever-watching space. Stylized and conceptually layered, Brick forgoes traditional sci-fi spectacle in favor of atmosphere, tension, and slow-building dread. It's a cerebral survival story wrapped in metaphor, perfect for viewers drawn to mystery box thrillers that probe deep into fear, isolation, and the fragile borders of reality. Number 5. Beyond the Black Rainbow. Directed by Panos Cosmatos, Beyond the Black Rainbow is a hypnotic and cerebral sci-fi thriller that blends retro-futuristic aesthetics with psychological horror and philosophical abstraction. The film centers on Elena, a telepathic young woman trapped inside the sterile confines of the Arborea Institute, a mysterious research facility promising enlightenment through science and serenity. Under the watchful eye of the emotionally fractured Dr. Barry Nile, Elena navigates a hallucinatory maze of surveillance, sedation, and surreal visions as she attempts to escape her cold, clinical prison. Michael Rogers gives a chilling and unpredictable performance as Dr. Nile, whose descent into madness is both unnerving and strangely mesmerizing. Eva Bourne, as the silent yet emotive Elena, brings quiet intensity to a role that thrives on mood and presence rather than dialogue. Together, their dynamic drives the film's eerie, emotional undercurrent. Boldly stylized and trance-like in rhythm, Beyond the Black Rainbow plays out as a sensory hallucination rather than a conventional story. Drenched in synths, color saturation, and eerie silence, it invites viewers into a surreal headspace where mood and meaning eclipse plot. A hypnotic and singular creation, it's pure Cosmatos in form and feeling. Number 4. The Wrath of God. Directed by Sebastian Schindel, The Wrath of God is a tense and atmospheric psychological thriller that blends quiet vengeance with simmering dread and a slow-burning mystery. The film follows Luciana, a young woman consumed by suspicion after a string of tragic deaths within her family. She believes her former employer, the cold and reclusive novelist Kloster, is behind it all, enacting a chilling and methodical revenge. As Luciana races to protect her younger sister and expose the truth, she enlists the help of a hesitant journalist, triggering a dangerous spiral where truth, guilt, and obsession blur. Macarena Chaga brings a gripping emotional urgency to Luciana, balancing desperation with resilience. Diego Peretti is captivating as Kloster, playing him with quiet menace and unreadable intensity. Their psychological duel anchors the story, while Juan Minion adds nuance as the skeptical reporter caught in the middle. Patiently paced and shadowed by moral ambiguity, The Wrath of God favors mood and character over spectacle. It's a cerebral, quietly unsettling thriller that unpacks revenge not as rage but as cold, calculated inevitability, perfect for viewers who prefer their mysteries dark, ambiguous, and emotionally driven. Number 3. Butterfly on a Wheel. Directed by Mike Barker, Butterfly on a Wheel is a tense and emotionally charged psychological thriller that blends domestic drama with nerve-wracking suspense and relentless moral pressure. The film follows Neil and Abby, a seemingly perfect couple living a quiet suburban life, until a stranger named Tom hijacks their day and forces them into a twisted game. With their daughter's life hanging in the balance, the couple must obey his increasingly disturbing commands, unraveling secrets and lies that threaten not just their safety, but the foundation of their relationship. Gerard Butler and Maria Bello deliver raw, compelling performances as parents push to the brink, each carrying the weight of guilt and fear. Pierce Brosnan is chillingly effective as Tom, shedding his familiar charm to embody a character both unpredictable and emotionally volatile. The tension between the trio drives the film's emotional core and psychological complexity. tense and emotionally suffocating, Butterfly on a Wheel trades spectacle for a slow, psychological unraveling. Focused on betrayal and control, it's a thriller built on personal stakes and quiet devastation, perfect for those who crave tension rooted in raw human emotion. Number 2. The Lazarus Project, directed by John Glenn. The Lazarus Project is a somber and psychologically driven thriller that blends spiritual mystery with emotional intensity and slow-burning suspense. The story follows Ben Garvey, a former convict trying to rebuild his life with his wife and daughter. But after a desperate decision lands him on death row, Ben awakens in a remote psychiatric facility, alive, disoriented, and stripped of his identity. As he grapples with eerie surroundings and the loss of everything he knew, Ben begins to question his reality, wondering whether he's been given a second chance or trapped in something far more sinister. Paul Walker delivers one of his more understated performances as Ben, bringing a quiet intensity and vulnerability that makes the character feel grounded and real. You can feel the weight of his confusion and desperation without it ever tipping into melodrama. Piper Perabo and Bob Gunton add to the unease, keeping you unsure of who can be trusted as the story slowly unravels. Deliberate and meditative, The Lazarus Project trades action for inner turmoil, focusing on grief, guilt, and the fragile nature of hope. It's a haunting, introspective thriller where the real suspense lies in the mind, ideal for viewers who favor emotionally layered stories with a philosophical edge. Number 1. The Hunt, directed by Thomas Vinterberg. The Hunt is a harrowing and psychologically rich drama that unfolds like a slow-burn thriller, blending social realism with creeping tension and moral complexity. The film follows Lucas, a well-liked kindergarten teacher in a small Danish town, whose life is shattered when a young girl falsely accuses him of sexual misconduct. What begins as a vague misunderstanding spirals into collective hysteria as the community turns on Lucas with chilling speed, forcing him to fight not only for his innocence, but for his very humanity. Mads Mikkelsen gives a masterful and restrained performance as Lucas, embodying quiet pain, confusion, and resilience. His portrayal never asks for pity, yet it pulls the viewer into every moment of injustice he endures. The supporting cast, particularly Thomas Bo Larsen as Lucas's childhood friend, deepens the film's emotional resonance and tragic tension. Measured and emotionally devastating, The Hunt isn't a thriller in the conventional sense, but its sense of dread and moral ambiguity keeps it gripping from start to finish. It's a haunting exploration of how easily truth can be drowned out by fear, perfect for viewers drawn to character-driven suspense, grounded in realism and social critique.